Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to another guide video for Marvel Heroes Omega. Now, in this video we will look at the 5 strongest heroes in the game. Now, in previous videos we've actually checked out the 3 most overpowered heroes, and they are of course Angela, Blade and Scarlet Witch. All incredibly powerful at what they do. Angela with the confuse, Blade with the single target damage, and Scarlet Witch nuking mobs. Now, as much as they're fantastic, none of them in my opinion are the complete package and are rounded heroes. So that's what we'll be looking at in this video. We'll be looking at heroes who do well from an offensive and defensive perspective, utility, and also most importantly they're fun to play as well. So let's see who we've got first. First up here we have the awesome Storm. Now straight away when you play her, what's amazing about her is her visuals. Maybe not so much when you're grouped up with other players in Midtown, but playing her solo, she really does look fantastic with her lightning, ice and also wind skills. Now on top of this she of course has her incredible AoE, which is almost on a par with Scarlet once you start pushing her damage numbers high enough. Now she also is an Omega Prestige hero and she has an Age of Apocalypse costume which gives her an additional skill, Acid Rain, which hits for a ton, so it can make her even more potent. Now our signature, low 20-second cooldown. If you add a Cargills for example, you can then pull all the enemies into the actual effect on the signature, which can be really effective. Now, while she does put out a ton of damage over a large area, she's really not a glass cannon hero at all, and this comes down to when you fill up Tempest Surge and you gain a buff. The buff is 20% attack and movement speed. That means you don't have to use your points in the infinity nodes. Instead you can go for health or go for damage in place of that. You also got 20% damage, so that equates to 800 damage rating, and you get a flat 20% dodge rating, which is huge. Now if you factor that in with the fact that she's also a speed hero, what this means is she gets a multiplier to dodge, so you've got the flat 20% and it really does help her out defensively. Lastly, she's also got the Astonishing Storm costume, which is a fantastic looking costume and one of my favourite ones in the game. But let's see who's next. Next up we have the one and only Incredible Hulk. He really is a fantastic character. He can put out a huge amount of damage and he's incredibly durable. He's actually nigh on unkillable through certain talent setups you can run on him. Now in regards to the damage, he's got a whole lot of brutes in his kit. Through his main spender you can actually buff the brute percentage rate on that through how much anger you have. He then has Pummel. You have 2 charges of that, and the final hit will always brutally hit, with the other hits on it actually being 100% chance to critically hit. And then we have Hulk Smash, and it's as good as the name would suggest. This is a 4-second AoE, 100% brute. It's really a fantastic skill and it's great for taking out trash. Now, as also mentioned, he actually does incredibly well from a defensive perspective as well, and I found that I can go toe to toe with most of the bosses in the game no problem. Now this is largely due to a skill he has called Nothing Stop Hulk, and with this particular skill, when your health runs down, as long as you actually have anger, then you'll absorb fatal damage. Now that works fantastic with the Hulk Smash skill because you can fire that off every 4 seconds and it actually refills your anger to 100%. So your health runs down, you use your anger to absorb an actual fatal hit, and then you quickly fire off Hulk Smash and your anger's full, and then you can absorb more fatal hits again. Now if that wasn't good enough, on top of all that, through his talent selections you can actually push your defense rating multiplier up to a whopping 65%. So once you start putting relics on that have 2000 defense rating with that 65% multiplier, you really can make him incredibly tanky. Now finally, I will mention he's got potentially 2 of the best costumes in the game. He's got the Revengers costume, which came out at Halloween, and he's also got the Planet Hulk costume, which is one of my favourite costumes. But let's see who we've got next. The next hero we're looking at here, I would say, is one of the most overlooked heroes in the game, and I don't think many people appreciate how great she is in regards to putting out damage, taking a beating, and also mobility, and the mobility makes it a ton of fun. Now she's got a dash of course, but on top of that she's actually got 3 dash to target skills, which I don't think any other heroes have. Iron Fist may be close to that, but certainly no other heroes have as many as this, and it really does make it a whole lot of fun, just slamming and jumping all over the screen. Now from the damage perspective, she can put out a huge amount of damage, and this is thanks to enlarge her mechanic that's similar to Hulk, where when she gets very angry she gains crit damage, brute damage, flat damage as well. But on top of that, through talent selections you can actually lower her signature to roughly about 10-15 seconds, and it does a huge amount of damage over a large area. Now talking about the signature, it actually has a great impact on her survivability as well, because when you use it you gain a buff for 10 seconds to your defense, and you actually take, again this is through talents, 22.5% less damage for 10 seconds. And bear in mind earlier on we noted the fact that you can get our signature close to that actual 10-second mark, so you're looking at high uptime on that huge defensive buff. Now on top of all that, again she's actually got a great mechanic called Lawyer Up that you can activate in various ways, and this will give her 20% bonus damage, 20% deflect chance, which goes great with the 22.5% less damage, and also 20% attack and movement speed. So that means you can place your infinity points into either health or offense, like your primary attributes instead, because you don't have to worry about how fast you're attacking and how quickly you can move about the screen as long as you've got those buffs up there. So absolutely fantastic character, and I would recommend checking her out. But let's see who we've got next. The next hero we have is Bobby the Iceman Drake. Now he arguably has one of the worst voiceovers in the game, so if you are playing as him I would recommend potentially going into options and turning down the setting for hero voices, because he will drive you mad. Now despite that, he's an incredible hero. He has a huge amount of versatility. He has 3 very distinct builds. He has his range build, his melee build, and then he's got his incredibly fun summon build as well. Now from the melee side of things, he essentially looks like the T1000, a frost version of it, so he looks great. He can take a huge amount of punishment because he actually has an AoE dot that he can lay down on himself that will regenerate 5% of your max health and 5% of your ice armor. Now ice armor will negate 60% of the damage you take. If we look at the range side of things, this is where he comes into his own in regards to crowd control. So he can chill, freeze and shatter enemies. Chill will slow them for 6 seconds. Freeze through talents, you can have it where it locks them down completely for anywhere between 4 and 6 seconds. That depends on whether or not you've chilled them first. And then finally, once they're frozen, you can go for the high damage moves and you can shatter them as well. Now if that wasn't good enough, we've also got the summon side of things, where we'll summon his ice golems. You'll summon up to 3 of them. They're really good at holding aggro. On top of that, if they're ever defeated at any point, or if some enemies do get by you, you have a skill called Work of Art. It looks great and it will also taunt enemies, and then you can pull back and your ice golems will take over once again. So really absolutely fantastic hero, but don't forget to turn down the hero volume if you do play him. So let's see who's next. This will be the final hero here. And for the final hero we have the awesome Black Cat. Now she's a hero when she was initially announced. Not a lot of people were really that interested. Few people got to playing her and showing her off, then all of a sudden everyone was wanting to play her because she really is incredible. She can put out a huge amount of damage and she can also take a huge amount of damage as well, as can all the heroes that we've looked at in this particular video. Now she also has a nice amount of build variety, where she's got a gadget build. She can go stealth or she can actually go claws, and she's a whole lot of fun as well on top of that. Now when we start to look at the breakdown for her, she's got some unique aspects that worked fantastic when it comes to the trials. So she's got a talent where she has a 2% chance to instantly defeat enemies up to elites, and that works in the trial. On top of that, from a defensive perspective, she has a mechanic known as 9 lives, where she can actually be defeated 9 times before it counts as a single defeat, and again this works in the trial. So if you're looking for a hero that can get you into a mega difficulty as easy as possible, then Black Cat is the cat that you're looking out for. Now if we do look at her actual offensive build, you've got the claw build. And this one's a ton of fun. It's all about laying down bleeds, and she's actually got a crash down skill which doesn't have a cooldown, so you can leap all over the screen from enemy to enemy, laying down the bleeds and then moving on. Now on top of this, her main spender, you can actually have it where it has an increase of a 30% crit chance, which is really great. So if you can push your crit and brute high enough, you'll be seeing red numbers all over the screen. Now it's when we come to the gadget build, this is a more popular option, and this is largely due to the legendary that can drop in the daily bugle operation. It's a salvaged alien weapon. This lowers the cooldown of gadget skills by 25%, and her signature and also the traps she threw out are tagged as gadget skills. Now the signature, it's got 2 damage portions, and it's one of the hardest hitting signatures in the game. I believe with gear it's not that far off what Blade can actually do, but it's over a wide area as opposed to single target. So absolutely fantastic hero there. Now finally, if we talk about the defensive side of things, we've already covered the 9 lives, which is great, but she's also a speed hero. On top of that, she has a dodge rating multiplier, so if you start to put your attributes into speed, the chances of anyone hitting you will be low enough, but if they do, you've got the 9 lives mechanic to back you up as well. So really absolutely fantastic hero and well worth checking out. So with that, that's our guide to the 5 strongest heroes in Marvel Heroes Omega for console now complete. Now whittling down 44 heroes to 5 was incredibly difficult, and I did do a lot of going back and forth as to who would actually make the cut here. So I will mention that we also had a few other heroes that were very close to the top 5, and they would be Doctor Strange, Kitty Pryde, Rocket Raccoon and Force. They're all great heroes that from an offense and defense perspective, as well as utility and being fun to play, I would highly recommend them. So it's worthwhile checking them out as well if you do get the time. So as always, I do hope this video was useful. Please let me know in the comments below who your personal top 5 are, and I'll see you all again soon.